Greetings and welcome to the 9th episode of Morrowind Modding Showcases. I'm your host Dark Elf Guy, and we have another 13 mods for you this week. This is a very special episode because as of today we've covered over 100 Morrowind mods in the show so far. That's a lot of modding. Obviously there's still plenty more to see though, and as always you can find the download links for each mod in the description below. Now why don't we go ahead and get started with the popular mod of the week, which this week is Everest Legacy by Stupor. This mod is a massive addition to Tel Yievra, both in rooms and new quests to do. Starting out, you'll have to hire some guards through Fast Eddie here, for a new phase of stronghold construction. And you also have the opportunity to hire an apprentice. You can choose to vet this apprentice and send him out on chores over time. In exchange for doing chores, you can teach your apprentice new spells by first casting them for them, and once the apprentice has seen a spell cast, he can learn it as well. The new additions to Tel Yievra include a servant's quarters, complete with a kitchen and a chef that will cook whatever you desire. And indeed, there are many number kinds of meals that she can prepare for you. You can also choose to reward your staff for services. And since your staff has active day-to-day schedules, you can also tell them to keep out of the way and not wander around. Of course, the main area of the tower has been changed as well, with new furnishings, some background documents, and many other miscellaneous details being added to the tower. Including a lovely garden. You'll also find an elevator that you can use to get between floors. You'll even find a throne room from which you can rule House Telvanni from. There's also a lovely bath that you can use at any time of day. You'll also find plenty of new things beneath your tower. Including a small guards barracks. And of course your personal treasure vaults. Here you'll find large chambers in which you can store and display your goods. Not to mention a combination lock, where you can store those particularly valuable artifacts. There's also an elevator here as well. And plenty of display cases in which you can put your goods in. And of course, no Telvanni tower could be complete without a library. You'll have a personal librarian, who on occasion will recommend books for the library's use. And who can also sort book titles for you, if you so desire. You'll also find a prison and barracks adjoining the library, where you can keep prisoners in an imperial-like setting. It should also be mentioned that there's a dungeon here as well, that can be found via Lord Yievra's burial chambers, if you're looking for a bit of adventure. Now, we didn't get time to show off everything for this mod, so keep in mind that Everest Legacy contains a ton more quests, fully working companions, and scripted features that we weren't able to show here. If you play a Telvanni character, you should really check it out for yourself. For our house mod of the week, we have Chest by KiteFlyer61. This mod adds an innocent looking chest to the world, with a bit of backstory behind it. Of course, if you can find the key to it, you'll see that this is no simple chest, but in fact a large portable house. Complete with an alchemy lab, and an ingredient sorter. As well as a library. And of course a bedroom. There's also a large basement with more display areas, some spare bedrooms, and plenty of storage. Naturally, it comes with a fully stocked bar, as well as a kitchen that's mostly uncluttered, so you can have space to decorate it yourself if you wanted to. In the attic, you'll also find a large number of display cases for your use, as well as a mannequin selection pedestal that you can use to display clothing and armor on. You can choose to either pick up the chest or enter it at any time. And upon leaving, you'll be returned to the exact location that you entered from. This week's gameplay mod of the week is Raim's Simple Mana Regeneration by Raim. What this mod does is add constant magicka regeneration to the game. So after you use a lot of magicka, like I'm doing here, you can find a constant magicka regeneration going on in the background, resupplying your magicka pool. As you can see here, there's the constant effect. And you'll need at least 50 willpower for this to work. As you increase your character's willpower over time, your mana regeneration rate will gradually improve, making magic use in Morrowind much more fun and viable. Next up is our town mod of the week, and this week we have Building Up Everest Legacy by Acheron and Artemis Fowl. This mod starts out simply enough, After becoming Archmagistra of House Telvanni, some of your stronghold citizens will complain about the lack of transportation to Tel Yievra. This will lead you on a quest to build up Yievra's grave, starting with getting your original forewoman back from when you first built your stronghold. The first thing you'll build is a Siltstrider port, which will give you access to a number of towns around Vardenfell. From there, you'll be given a choice of what projects to pursue next, and the construction of your city. Eventually, your Tel Yievra could look like a major city indeed, with faction guild halls, houses, and shops surrounding your tower. Not to mention sturdy walls surrounding the town, and a few upper-class manors as well. This could include guild halls for the Morag Tong, as well as the Imperial Legion and the Imperial Chapel. As well as the Tribunal Temple as well. Building up Everest Legacy will make your simple stronghold into a town worthy of your time investments and your title of Archmagistra. For our items mod of the week, we have Telvanni Warriors by Stav Rogan. This mod adds new Telvanni Bone Mold armor to the game, as you can see with this god here. Every great house on Vardenfell has had a unique set of armor except House Telvanni, until now. As you can see here, this mod adds 2 types of robed Telvanni cuirasses. You can even find a second set of Telvanni armor out in the wild, called Champion's Armor. It's a medium armor as well, and is slightly better than standard Telvanni armor. You'll have to keep an eye out for it though, because it's scattered across all of Vardenfell. This week's quest mod of the week is Rise of House Telvanni by Pozo, Carpix777, and BHL. This is a massive quest mod that adds some 20 new quests for you to complete once you become Archmagistra of House Telvanni. Not to mention a new set of quarters in the Telvanni Council House for you to use. Here you'll find your advisor, who will give you options for the direction of House Telvanni, starting with someone to replace the old Archmagistra's seat. Once that's done, you can begin building an empire for House Telvanni by eliminating opposing institutions, like the Mages Guild. Or not, if you prefer. After a while, you'll be able to summon your predecessor archmagesses. And you can learn their stories, including the ones you may have killed. They'll also occasionally mention some helpful advice, as you lead House Telvanni now. As part of some of these new quests, you'll get to go to exciting new locales, and face challenging opponents. Eventually, you can expand House Telvanni across all of Vardenfell, with new strongholds, like this one here. You'll even be able to topple the old Imperial government, and take Ebonheart as your own, should you please. The future and glory of House Telvanni is yours to decide, and this massive quest mod, Rise of House Telvanni. For our landmass mod of the week, we have Floating City by Than. This mod adds an air balloon to Saran, offering transport to a new city of the skies. This floating city is a landmass of several interconnected islands, flying several hundred feet up. A number of Croaky residents live here, and they have a number of quests for enterprising adventurers to try out. These quests vary from simple fetch tasks to taking care of an out-of-control Twuma Centurion. Besides quests, there's also a number of cool and unique sights to see in this city of the clouds. Not to mention a number of interesting interiors. And of course, more quests. Now, some of these quests have multiple different possible endings. As well as a few curious results. In any event, Floating City is a fascinating and beautiful place, full of interesting things to do, and is well worth a visit. Next up is our NPC mod of the week, and this week we have Staff Agency by Danae. Much like last week's NPC mod, Staff Agency involves hiring NPCs to be your staff, with a number of offered services. Before you can hire a staff member though, you have to have a number of certain objects, as seen by this requirements list. You can also hire guards, provided you have a high enough level. And here you can see a number of hireable staff. Not to mention hireable trainers. You have to pay each member a monthly salary, and each staff member will provide a unique set of lore and services. There's also a number of other orders you can give NPCs. For example, you can tell one of your staff to heal themselves. If you want an improved service, you can give an NPC a pay raise. And they might give you a small quest to find materials to improve their work. Here you can see a few more varieties of NPCs, including necromancers, that can restore your magicka for a cost. There's also miners, which can gather materials for you over time. And gardeners, which can gather ingredients for you. And not to mention sailors, which can take you to different places around Vardenfell. This week's new meshes and textures mod of the week is actually 2 mods in one. Drakemoor's Iridan Spear Replacer and Staff of the Silver Dawn Replacer. Originally unique named objects given to the player as part of quests, these mods add unique meshes to fit with each item's unique name. Here you can see the new Staff of the Silver Dawn, which is quite striking indeed. And here you can see it in action. This spear here is the new model for Iridan's spear. And here again you can see it in action. It should be mentioned that both of these weapons have video showcases done by Drakemoor, and you can see them in the annotations below, should you desire to. For our underrated mod of the week, we have Blades Tower by Yievra. This mod adds a player home for Blades agents in one of 2 locations, Ganar Mark or Balmora, as seen here. The interior is well furnished and includes a scuba den, dining, and sleeping areas. You'll also find plenty of storage here, and a small alchemy lab. The tower is lush with detail and has quite a homely feel to it. There's also a small rooftop garden with quite a nice view to it. Next up is our Blast from the Past mod of the week, and this week we have the classic Illuminated Altar by Charles J. DeVito. This mod starts out simply enough. You've come across a deranged sorcerer in a cave, with delusions of becoming a lich. But as a player may find, there's more going on here beneath the surface, and the clues will ultimately lead to a secretive faction, known only as the Illuminated Altar. You'll get to join this exclusive group and learn about a number of banned subjects and taboo topics. You'll also work underneath a number of interesting characters, such as necromancers, who will tell you about their dark trade, as well as vampires. With interesting vintage collections. On your journey to bring the forgotten and forbidden into the illumination of knowledge, you go to a number of interesting locales, like this lighthouse here, and fight swarms of furry opponents. Not to mention briefly meeting a were-rat. You'll even get to visit a Dwemer submarine. After all, it's like that old song goes. We're all living on a Dwima submarine, a Dwima submarine, a Dwima submarine. Oh yeah, I better stop singing now, this is getting embarrassing. In any event, you'll see all of this and much more in this Hall of Fame Classic Quest mod. Finally, for our bonus mod of the week, we have Gypsy Van by Neil Darkstall. This mod adds a rumour-related quest to Balmora about a missing group of clergymen and their wagon. Unfortunately, you may stumble upon them too late in order to save them. But you can still take the Gypsy Van for your own. This works like a portable home, and you can drop it anywhere. And it'll appear with a friendly guard attached. You can enter it at any time as well. And the interior is lightly furnished, with a bedroll, chest, and pop-up table available. When you exit, you'll find yourself back to wherever you entered from. That's it for this week. All the download links for the mods shown can be found in the description below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned next week for another episode of Modding Goodness. See you next time, and goodbye.